I'm with Larry Winter of Scoggins CPAs, our resident small business expert authority. How are you, Larry?
Well, after that build-up, I'm feeling great. I'm not sure I'm all of that, but I'm delighted to be with you today.
There's more of that to come, so if that makes you feel good, that's great. That's great. That's what I'm in the business of doing. Larry, our listeners are retailers, they're distributors, they're manufacturers, other suppliers, primarily in the floor covering business, and they obviously are dependent on the consumer and what the consumer does and how they spend their money. And it seems like consumers, as a general rule, have less money on average now than they did at the beginning of the year. They're driving old cars. I think the average age of a car being driven today is 11 years. As I mentioned, taxes, they had 2% tax increase at the first of the year. There are threats of more taxes. There's dozens of other hidden costs, I think, in Obamacare and other things, and those will eventually come in. On top of that, the price of a gallon of gasoline is up by 25% since the beginning of the year. From where you stand, I mean, this is not painting a really rosy picture for a lot of people in this business. What are your thoughts on the consumer and where they appear to be going from this point on?
Well, Dave, you've done your homework well, and you've outlined the problems that typical families in the United States are facing. With adding together a 2% cut because Social Security rates in 13 reverted to the rates they were in 11. In 10. They have less money to spend. And when we add to that the fact that gasoline surged, many families, the entertainment budget's gone, and they're having to choose pretty hard between gasoline, prescription medicines, food, trimming back a little bit across the board. So finally we add to that the fact that many of our wage earners get their W-2s in early January, rush to their tax preparer, file waiting on a large refund. Well, the government wasn't ready this year. They had a computer glitch, so they pushed the forms and the ability to file returns until the end of January. So that took that money out of circulation for big time, and if the current bluster on television is to be believed, we're going to send 10% of all the IRS agents home, and so they won't be able to do refunds, even though the majority of that is done mechanically by the computers. So I guess we're sending 10% of the computers home as well. But nonetheless, that took a tremendous amount of money out of our economy. Money that people would go to their floor covering retailer and buy new carpeting for the spring. We're ready to fix this. Well, that refund didn't come in January, and they're just starting to come in as the end of February and early March. Coupled with this bad news and the fact that gas is still high, people are afraid, and so they pay down on their credit cards and they put a little money in savings, and many of them unfortunately are sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what's going to happen before they make any major expenditures. Now, while floor covering is a wonderful economical investment, it's still an investment. And so some people have just decided to wait. Now, it's a little bit different if we look from the perspective of manufacturers and businesses. We're seeing manufacturers and other capital-intensive businesses finally making investments. For 2 years, they had no understanding of what the tax law was going to be like. Now we have certainty in the tax law going forward the next 10 years, although with the current saber-rattling about the deficit, the concept of a balanced reduction in spending is by increasing taxes. I haven't figured out all the hyperbole. We'll let people closer to Washington figure that out. But because of that certainty, industry is making investment in machinery and other hard goods, but at the same time reducing their inventories because they think that this year from a retail perspective is going to be less than last year.
I suspect that by buying this new equipment, putting that in place, that in essence will probably make them more efficient and probably, and this is a form of a question, eliminate some jobs along the way.
Well, that's true. The carpet industry began in 2008, the flooring industry generally, in retooling, and which guarantees the fact that the carpet industry is going to, and the flooring industry is going to remain with a heavy presence in the United States. But the new equipment doesn't require as many people. And specifically, the people it does not require are people who do not have job skills. There's a shortage today, by the way, of people that know how to operate and repair this new high-tech machinery. But there are many unskilled workers that, in all probability, are never going to find a job in the flooring industry again.
Are there even such shortages here in Dalton in the carpet industry, having people that are educated to a point where they can operate some of these machinery or even repair some of these pieces of machinery?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. All of our major manufacturers in the flooring industry, and if we go up into Tennessee, the car industry is faced with this. All of these industries are going up into the Northeast to New York. Their technical schools are training people to become mechanics to operate these high-tech equipment. And a high school graduate that knows how to repair this equipment starts out at $18 plus an hour. In a couple of years, he's making more than $20 an hour with all the overtime he wants to work. So, and it's not unreasonable in 5 to 10 years for him to be earning $30 an hour. Well, compare that to an awful lot of college degrees that people are graduating with and can't find jobs. They spent 4 years and $120,000 of mom and dad's money to get a degree, and I'm sure it was very interesting, but in a profession that pays them $18,000 or $19,000 a year and is never going to pay them more than $18,000 or $19,000 a year, with an investment of perhaps a couple of years of training beyond high school and working another 2 or 3 years for you to be earning over $60,000 a year, to me is a pretty good investment, and one that I hope more of our young people that might be hearing us today would choose to make.
I saw today that the average average college graduate with the loans that they took out to go to school somewhere between $25,000 and $26,000. They were talking about the effect this is having on the housing market because these people obviously cannot, if they even have a job, they probably can't qualify because I think up to 40% of them are more than 3 payments behind. Well,
25% of all recent college graduates are still unemployed.
Really?
Okay? And number 2, in Georgia, with Governor Deal's change to the Hope Scholarship for technical schools now, back again a 2.0 level, almost every person can go to technical school for free. So the hurdles to get a technical education and a high-paying job have been completely removed. And, to me, that's something that could make a huge economic difference for our area. If we started to have an excess of these people, guess where new employers want to come build their plants?
Exactly.
They want to build them where they have a workforce.